Ladies and gentlemen, it's the character of the week.
Happy Black History Month from Blards and Whiskey. Today's character week is the Last Dragon himself, Bruce Leroy Green. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon is a love letter from black people to black belt theater. If you grew up loving Wu-Tang, you grew up loving Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. Barry Gordy, whatever. Leroy Green was trained in the martial arts by a stereotypical sensei. It was the 80s. When his sensei got tired of shooting him with arrows and no longer was able to get hit by arrows, he told him, hey man, I taught you everything I know. For some reason, Leroy heard that as an insult, so he gave him a cryptic message that was like, the last place you look is where you'll find this true master. He comes home and he sees, he spent time with his family, his father, his mom, his little brother, the ungrateful runt. His little brother showing him mad disrespect. He just don't see what the hood sees. With Bruce Leroy is seen as a neighborhood superhero, local celebrity. He decides to go to the local theater and watch some Bruce Lee films because, hey, like I said, it's what he does. You see in the audience, you see like a mixture of black, white, and Asian, Puerto Rican, like all these different people just enjoying Bruce Lee just kicking the crap out of people. That was pretty much the message that the writer wanted to bring across for that movie, but that's a little behind the scenes stuff that no one really cares about. But I will say this though, this is where the antagonist of all antagonists comes through. If you're a fan of Wu-Tang, this is pretty much where your love of martial arts and black culture comes in and clashes together, because enter the Shogun of Harlem. The ultimate showdown in the hood between these two people is pretty much the only thing that's stopping Shogun from being the ultimate supreme ruler of Harlem. Because very cool. He's just trying to find this ultimate master, or the grandmaster, or the master for him to learn this next level stuff. He don't got time to deal with someone else's ego who apparently take cultural appropriation too far. But, that's just Shonuff for Shogun. Shonuff taunts him, does all these things to antagonize him into a fight. Meanwhile, his little brother has a crush on this, let's be wrong, we all had a crush on it too, but Vanity, whatever her character's name. I don't even know what her character's name is. She's Vanity. So he falls in love with Vanity. His little brother introduces him, and then I don't know, man, just something about Vanity. Okay, we all know what it was about Vanity. But he was drawn to her. Now, one thing we discover about Leroy when he's discussing with his little brother about, what to do on a date with Vanity, we find out that Leroy Green, that's one thing he ain't even mastered yet. Hell, he's a white belt in. Yep, be a virgin. At the same time, some local music mogul is trying to sign her to a contract. She ain't having it, so he does what anyone else does to take no for an answer. Decides to kidnap her because, gold records. Ooh, people like that. Him and Shonuff now have a mutual enemy. So he convinces Shonuff. He's like, hey man, I'll pay you good money to beat the crap out of Leroy Green. Put you two in a situation where you can't say no. He's like, hell yeah. So we have the ultimate showdown between Bruce Leroy and Shonuff, Shogun of Harlem. The Shogun is whooping my boy. 6'5", has no idea how to do martial arts. In fact, it was actually very frustrating for him because he's like, I am not a fighter. I'm not a martial artist. But in order for him to get certain fight scenes in a way to get this point across, because he's so good of an actor, they were like, all right, we'll just train you in some stuff. I don't know what they did, but they worked with him anyway. Actually, Rob Van Cleef was the one who trained him. That if you don't know anything about martial arts, him and Jim Kelly were like neck and neck, or tied up there with the black martial arts people. Had the ultimate showdown with Bruce Leroy. If he just finished the fight, he could have, but his hubris took him out. He kept telling Leroy, who's the master? Who's the master? And that gave Leroy enough time to think and realize the answer. The master is me all along. And once he realized that he himself is the master, this true master that he's been waiting for, that's how he was. He had this glow about him. He had the glow, the soul glow, whatever you want to call it, his inner chi. Bruce Leroy, aka the first brother to go Super Saiyan. Happy Black History Month. Now, back to you guys.
Like, share, subscribe.